Hello from Yokohama. Today we are driving three Nissan vehicles that we don't have in the local market. That's the Nissan Serena, which we're in right now. We're also driving the Nissan Ariya later and the Nissan X-Trail. So we have a guest today. This is Brian from our sister publication Esquire Philippines. Charles is manning the camera. He finally joined the Nissan contingent. We've actually been on the road for maybe half an hour now, but it took a while to get to the expressway. Our convoy was having trouble getting out of the Yokohama city center. But now we're on our way to our first stop, which is lunch in Kamakura Prince Hotel. So yes, sana wala nang sakuna getting there. As I said earlier, we are in the Nissan Serena now. So it's only sold in Japan and I think Hong Kong, it was mentioned earlier, right-hand drive markets. And they do not make this in left-hand drive yet, but pretty deliberate choice of cars that we are driving today. Maybe they're trying to get feedback on demand, potential demand. This is e-power. So there's an engine, a 1.4 liter engine, but it's only for charging the batteries for the electric motor that drives the front wheels. It makes 161 horsepower and 315 Newton meters of torque. So I'm in the second row now. Best seats in the house, but I kind of regret not driving this because it feels sprightly. This is a 7-seater car. I don't think it will have any trouble moving 7 people with cargo. It's a pretty solid powertrain. So I have borrowed the GoPro to give you a tour of the second row. You have captain seats. This is with my seat pushed all the way back. I am 5'5". Parang lahat ng taga-top gear 5'5". Si Anton lang yung hindi.
5'6", oo.
5'6" daw si Charles, tumatawad pa. And I noticed just now we have ventilated seats. Okay, there you go. Tapos, you have your AC controls for the rear, AC vents over here, your window controls, ba natin. Alright.
Bongga. Sarap mag-tracking. Ganun.
Sunshade. And then we have this pull-out tray. And, ano ba to? Ayun. So I can put my bottle of tea over here. This is a cubby hole. And another storage space here. Power outlet. What else? There's this monitor that drops down from the ceiling. Pero hindi pa namin siya ina-activate because no one wants to watch anything right now. We're trying to focus on navigating. There's no space for a center stack here. This is a fairly narrow vehicle. These two are your main cup holders, as well as that one. In the door, for the third row, you have a 3-seater bench. That's 50-50 split folding. Nobody's really gonna want to sit down on that middle seat though. Cup holders over there. AC vents, USB-C charging port. There's also a pull-out tray I spotted just now. And you can open the door from the third row. I've moved to the third row. This is with the second row pushed all the way back. My knees are now very much against the back of this seat. So what I noticed is the last row is raised. You still kind of have a view of the front, even though you're seated at the very back. I think in the Terra they call that theater style seating. This is what I see on my left. Let's use Brile's bag for reference. Somebody this narrow will fit in the middle seat. So I said earlier that the occupants of the third row have this button for opening and closing the door. They also have this pedal for this, I think is for the seat back. And this one, this lever is for moving the seat forward and back. Instead of giving you guys a design walk around, we'll focus more on the functionality of the car. There you go, as we said earlier, captain seats. And then ingress into the third row. So over there you can see there's a lever that allows you to pull this in. Let's go into the back. And you also have that here. So it's on both sides. Okay. Let's fold this down. So may snacks pala tayo ngayon, kung na-realize. These are jump seats, okay? So they don't fold that way. Fortuner owners would know that this can limit you in terms of cargo space for the rear. And then I saw this just now. So you have the headrest. How does this go? For the middle row. Alright, so that's the back. Let's put this back. And I shall chicken flavored baby star wide ramen snack. I'm not kidding.
Ako, passenger princess lang ako today. Hindi, mamaya pa ako magdadrive. Pero, ikaw muna, Brian, how's the car? How does it feel?
I mean, so far so good. I was telling you earlier, I guess I had trouble with the e-pedals. You know, I thought I was the problem. I thought it was a handbrake thing, but the brakes are decent. The suspension is nice, man. I can't complain. You know, we went from a city center to the expressway, to a smaller village, to the beachfront, to the beach side. I mean, come on, man. It's nice.
Is this your first time to drive an e-Power?
Yeah, man. That's why I had trouble earlier. I was telling you, right? Like, I was stopping, like, those little, like, you know.
Okay, kasi yung e-Power, it's designed na mag-charge siya ng electric batteries niya.
Okay.
So, every time you lift off the gas, the car is braking by itself so it can charge the battery. So, you can extend the range.
Instead of the heat from the braking just going to waste, it's recaptured and used to charge the battery.
I see. Can you tell me what are the biggest like differences between like an e-Power vehicle versus like a normal?
Okay, so the normal ones we see on the roads, yung mga, we call them ICE, internal combustion engine. So they use gasoline or diesel. They burn up the fuel, and from chemicals, they turn into power, vroom vroom, and noise.
Yeah, vroom, vroom. Yeah, okay.
So
all that.
e-Power, meron pa rin siya nun. But yung purpose lang ng internal combustion engines sa e-Power is to charge the electric batteries for the electric motors.
Alright.
Hindi siya connected in any way sa drivetrains. Hindi siya connected sa wheels. So talagang the engine is there. Para lang siyang generator na nag-charge ng batteries.
Well, would you recommend this to, like for Filipino drivers, or what do you think?
Well, yeah, I think it's a good recommendation kasi you can get the benefits nga ng electric power without range anxiety. Kasi yung problem ng EVs natin ngayon, ang hirap eh. Wala pa tayong masyadong infrastructure eh.
How about the model as a whole? Because we don't have it in the Philippines. This is only right-hand drive right now. But do you think something like this would work in our market?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I think I can see like a family of like 3 or 4 like having this, I mean, I could see my mom having this or something. I mean, if you're living like a suburban lifestyle or like in the city, I mean, why not? And you have like, as you said earlier, you have like your captain's chairs, you have everything is running smoothly, everything feels a little smoother than usual. Yeah, but that's just my like, feely reactions. How about you?
I would prefer this over a big SUV.
Yeah.
You don't need all those chunky SUVs when you can have this
Something like
much
this.
space, much smoother for the family.
Yeah.
And our market likes 7-seaters, you know, the Expander, the Livina,
That's
the,
true. That's true.
the Velos, Avanza.
Yeah.
So this is a step up in terms of features, in terms of powertrain technology. Given that we all like to travel with the entire family,
Yeah.
plus the friends and the kapitbahay
And the
whoever
pets.
else, and the pets, yes, I think this will work. So maybe that's something Nissan can think about when they consider production for left-hand drive markets. I think our time with the Serena is almost up. We will be driving the Ariya next. Very different car. So yun naman fully electric na talaga. Alright, so yesterday we were having trouble with driver changes, navigation, overheating GoPros. But right now we are driving around Yokohama. It's a rainy Sunday morning. The car that we have now has a bigger battery, 91 kilowatt hours, around 560 kilometers of range. But the biggest change is that it has 2 electric motors, one at the front, one at the rear, both the same. That means the car has e-force technology. The 4 in e-force is spelled with a 4, and the system incorporates 4-wheel drive, chassis control, and electric power delivery to improve ride and handling. And it does that in several ways. So the first one is under braking, because normally when you're in a regular car, most of the braking load is handled by the front wheels. What e-force does is apply braking to the rear wheels so that the load is evenly distributed between the front and rear axles, and that minimizes pitching. Second, it also helps during cornering. So it applies braking to the inner wheels and varies the torque distribution to the outer wheels to provide smoother and more stable cornering. Yesterday, when we were driving the other Ariya in Hakone, I felt that it was already such a good car in that situation. You know, twisties, uphill climbs. It was my first time to drive that car, and it was my first time to drive on that road. And I didn't really have trouble adapting to the battery electric powertrain or even the right-hand drive situation. It drove like a regular combustion engine vehicle. Maybe the steering could be heavier, but in that condition, you always want a heavier, more tactile steering feel. But otherwise, the car was responsive and composed through corners. I feel like e-power though would level up the experience and make the car livelier and more engaging to drive. Charles was able to drive the X-Trail with e-force yesterday, going back also in Hakone. So maybe he can give his insights later on how it felt in that particular road. Now, as to whether we need the Ariya in the Philippines, we already have several battery electric vehicles in the more premium end of the spectrum. So I think for early adopters who can afford it, it's definitely worth a shot. Alright, so as promised, we are now in the X-Trail. Charles is driving. He was the one driving this in Hakone yesterday.
Saya, super saya.
Pati yung traffic last night
Yun.
going back to Yokohama.
Masaya rin, nasa Japan naman eh.
Alright, so you drove the Kicks at home. You were able to drive that back in Manila.
Yes, hindi lang sa Manila. Actually, we brought it to Bicol. Kasama ako sa Nissan Drive nun. It was more than 12 hours. Kaya, well acquainted na ako sa car na yun.
Okay, so itatanong ko sa'yo how different the e-power system here is from that one. But before that, we will read the specs muna quickly for everyone's benefit. Alright, so this has a 1.5 liter engine that only serves to charge the batteries for the motors. Tapos dalawang motors niya. The front one has 201 horses and 330 Newton meters of torque. But the rear motor naman is slightly lower power, 134 horses and 195 Newton meters of torque. Okay, so how different is it from the Kicks we have at home?
Yung Kicks, sometimes medyo mafe-feel mo when the engine is engaging to charge the batteries. Pero when you compare it to this, sobrang mas smooth siya. Iba yung technology, yung improvement over the past few years. In terms of driving dynamics and handling, sobrang nagustuhan ko yung feel niya through the Hakone road. When I'm tackling the corners, mapapansin mo hindi siya masyadong nagba-body roll. Lalo na pag nagbe-brake tayo, normally, di ba, magti-tilt forward yung car. Pero because of the e-force, na babawasan na lessen ng sobra yung mga body roll and yung pag-tilt forward. Yung steering niya hindi masyadong malambot tulad ng ibang electronic power steering.
Yeah, which was what I felt in the Ariya yesterday.
Pero siguro, mas maganda kung matetest natin to back home.
Which would mean it would have to enter the local market. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's about time to bring back the X-Trail. Medyo matagal na rin siyang nawala sa market and I think one of the main reasons kaya bumaba yung demand for the vehicle is because of gas prices.
So we inherited this car without resetting the fuel economy meter. But right now, it says 14.6 kilometers per liter. And the traffic we encountered on the way back to Yokohama was pretty bad.
Parang back to EDSA pero mas maganda.
Oo, mas marami kang nakikita because our area is very near Daikoku parking area. And there were lots of cars headed that way, I guess. We should be able to get more representative fuel economy figures if we get to drive this vehicle back home. If we get it back home. So, let us know what you guys think. Should the X-Trail already make a comeback finally in the local market?